Hey everyone, it's Sarah from Everyday Spiritual, and I actually got some Ask Sarah questions and interesting ideas. So I'm going to go ahead and answer these. So there is a young man on Twitter named Pawan, and he asks two questions, and I want to get into these, and I'll tell you what I think. And I think it would be great if people comment and tell what they think. And if you have links to actual research to put in with your comment, that's even better. So Pawan says, how to meditate deeply. What are the negative and positive effects of meditation on us? Okay, so how to meditate deeply. Really deep meditation has more to do with the transcendental type of meditation where you are the observer. So you're going to breathe, and that's your centering, and then you are observing your breath. Any thoughts that come through your head, you observe them. It's like you try to stop being the thinker, instead be the listener. So that meditation is really deep. If you can spend time in that place where you have this gap between what your body's doing, what thoughts you're thinking, the emotions you're feeling, what's happening in the world, all of those things are not you. You are the observer, you're the controller behind it all. So the more moments in the day that you can spend quietly being in that space, the better insight you have into yourself and life, and the more resilience you have when tough circumstances come. The more centered you are with relationships and interactions with other people, because you're calm and you have that space where you're the observer. Your listening skills improve, your ability to feel compassion and what other people are feeling improves. It's wonderful. So that is my advice about how to meditate deeply. I would say if you're going for deep, don't do guided meditation, which is what I like a lot. Don't do guided meditation or anything else. Just do, with no purpose, just do the transcendental meditation. As far as what are the negative and positive effects of meditation on us, this is interesting because there's so many positive effects and people talk about that all the time. And there are things that are or can be kind of unpleasant while you're meditating. And people don't talk about that as much, or they just say I was frustrated, or it didn't work, or I couldn't do this, or I fell asleep, or whatever they say. So some of these things that you feel are resistance. So if you're doing the transcendental meditation where you're the observer and you're trying not to get wrapped up in your thoughts or do anything, you're just observing it happening, you will go into your thoughts and come back. And then you can notice, oh, I was gone for a while, and now I'm back, the observer. And you can just notice that and learn from it. But a lot of times people just get really hard on themselves. So here's a negative thing that I find in myself, and I hear from other people, when they're trying to do meditation at the beginning, or any time really, you can really be mean to yourself if you think you're doing it wrong. And you're not doing it wrong. You're just supposed to do it. You're just supposed to be the observer. The observer isn't the judge. The observer isn't there to, say, you need to learn how to do this better. The observer is just the observer. Just listening, just watching. So that's the space you want to get to. And I would say, don't be so hard on yourself. And I say it to myself all the time. And so that's a negative thing. One of the other negative things, if you can call it that, it's not that negative, I think it's wonderful, is that people will think maybe that you're a little out there. So I'm perfectly happy being that person, but somebody new to it may not be. And for that, I think that the segue is all of the actual health benefits you get from it. Memory loss decreases. Memory improves. Blood pressure decreases. It's scientifically proven that blood pressure decreases during meditation, and with enough meditation during times when you're not meditating as well. Heart rate decreases. Basically all the things that indicate stress leave. So the more time you spend in it, the more regular it is, the less stress you have. you don't have stress when you're meditating, and then it carries over and starts carrying over more and more and more because you're reinforcing those brain pathways that have to do with calm instead of reinforcing the brain pathways that have to do with stress. So I think a really nice segue into letting other people know that you do this or talking about it is the health benefits, because it's real, it's quantifiable, there's many, many studies out there that you could point to say, this is why I'm doing it. It's part of why you're doing it, and the other part is to have a better inner world and a more robust spiritual grounding in life. So the only negative things about it are like these side effects that we're putting on it, in my own opinion. Okay, so then he has one more. He says, meditation can remove all the worries of life, but how the gratitude. So how can gratitude remove the worries of life? So here's the thing. If you're having a hard time being in a positive mindset, gratitude can help you a lot. So there are days and weeks that I go where I don't feel like I am, using the law of attraction or being very positive. I'm kind of down and crabby and tired, or have a lot of work to do, normal stuff. And when I get to that place, even when I'm like, I should take a moment and just really feel, look to the future and see like what I want to happen and envision happy things, and sometimes it's hard. And so then when it's hard, what I do is I go into gratitude. I look at my life and I just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for my house, thank you for my cat. I just look around and like, thank you for this, thank you for everything, thank you for that light bulb, thank you for that door, thank you for that window, thank you for the tree. I just say it and say it and say it, and it doesn't take long before that positive mindset returns. So it can start out as super simple, and it might seem silly at first, especially if you're really down and you're not feeling thank you for that refrigerator, thank you for that broom. I mean, it's goofy, right? But it's working, and within a few moments, like, you do start to feel genuine gratitude. More meaningful things enter into your consciousness to be thankful for, and at the end of doing that for just like 2 or 3 minutes, you feel way better. So gratitude is just another practice in your spiritual toolbox. Meditation is one thing, and gratitude is another one. So that's that. I got a question from Gina Jones on Twitter, and she says, she's talking about religious water baptism, and she says, is it a method of chakra balancing? And then she put / stopping through religion based on those specific beliefs. Okay, so water baptism. Let's first talk about just water. Okay, so water is very cleansing. It has very many properties, and it's really malleable. So it can go and fit into any container. It can be any temperature, almost any temperature. There are many things that you can do with water, and it's very cleansing, and it's very rejuvenating, and you just feel good when you're in or around it. So there's something to that. I mean, there's something life-giving, so life-giving about water. So I think that it may have something to do with balancing your chakras when you go into water, okay? It may open spiritual pathways in you to be in and around water. I know I kind of feel that way. So when we do religious water baptism, though, the core of it in Catholic belief is that you are saving a baby from limbo. You're saving a baby from dying and then going to this place where there is no heaven or hell. Because they weren't baptized, God doesn't recognize them as a soul, really, and they're stuck there. So in the Catholic Church, like, being baptized as a small child, that's why they baptize babies so early, and it's your first sacrament in the Catholic Church. So that has a lot of issues with it, in my opinion, and that's basically what you're doing. You're baptizing the child into the church. So it's recognized as having a soul by God, so that when it dies, it can be judged and go to heaven or hell instead of limbo. So that's a little weird. nowadays in different organized religions, it's a method of saying thank you. So it's a method of showing gratitude for this life that was given to you, and you're a parent, and you are saying thank you to God for this child. And there's definitely like a spiritual thing to it, and it's more of a blessing. It's more of a blessing in the sense of protection and goodwill. So that, I think, is great. I think that's a wonderful thing to do, to show gratitude to your higher power for this baby. I think it's wonderful. So there's other water baptism where you are becoming a part of the church, and we do this older. We do this when we're teenagers, when we have a mind and we're thinking, when we know what we're doing, and we're saying, yes, I want to be a part of this specific religion or church. And then we're baptized into that church, and it's like a doorway. It's a way of showing commitment, and it's a way of showing commitment physically, and it's also a blessing. And then you become a part of that church, like a rite of passage, maybe. So typically in churches that do this baptism later on, they have a different way of being recognized by God or Jesus as having been saved or going to heaven. And this is like a totally different thing than baptism. So they become two separate things then. So that's a different type of religious thing. So I think it's interesting, though, the / stopping. So is religious water baptism a method of chakra stopping? So that's interesting, because specifically in Catholic Church, all of this sort of mysticism stuff is really on the fringe, and you don't have far to go before you get into demons and possession and all these horrible negative things that you're supposedly opening yourself up to if you do hypnosis or anything like that, which I think is not accurate at all. I think anything that you can do to help yourself have a better life, you should do. I don't think that God would want you to not do that. So anybody that's dealt with chakras before knows that they can be open or closed. All right, so when your chakras are balanced, there's this flow and everything's working. If there's an imbalance, something's stuck, and it can be physical or emotional. It can present in many different ways. So then when she's saying stopping, it's making me curious to think if, like, specifically Catholic water baptism is meant to shut down the chakras and close them so that you become, holy into this world. I'm not sure. So it made me think about that, though, and I don't know. I don't think that there's any true intent there. There comes like a sketchy gray area where your baptism is a form of protection. And so if you believe that working with energy and chakras and that sort of thing is going to be demonic, and you're doing baptism to protect this, then I think that part of the baptism is meant to shut that down or close it off for protection. So, just talk about that for a little bit. Ask me any questions. A lot of people will just mention me on Twitter and then ask a question. I think that's a great way to do it. You can also go to my website, everyday-spiritual.com, and go to Ask Sara, and there's a form you can fill out there, and I will get that right into my email, and you can ask me anything. So I think it's awesome that I had some things to talk about with you guys today, and I want you to comment and tell me anything that you think about those questions. And also, don't forget to go to the website or reach me on Twitter or Facebook and ask a question yourself. Thank you for the Ask Sara questions, Pawan and Gina, and I will talk to you next time.